Hello friends, this video on Neet genetics is brought to you by examfear.com. No more fear from exam. Albinism. It is a genetic disorder which occurs due to diminished or no melanin in skin, hair and eyes. So what is melanin? Melanin is that pigment, presence of which makes our skin darker. Now, do you think that the only purpose of melanin is just the look and feel? That is, its job is only to make the skin look darker or lighter, or is that the only purpose? Well, not really. It also has some other important roles to play. For example, melanin is also responsible for how our skin reacts to sun exposure. So it is always good to have this pigment melanin inside our body so that it can prevent our skin from sunburn. It is needed for eyes also to see well. So these are some additional functions of melanin. So if there is no melanin inside the body, what's going to happen? Our vision might get impacted because the eyes will not function well. The other thing is the skin will become completely white because melanin adds the darker shade to the skin. So the skin will be completely white. Third thing is the hair would also be white because in hair also, for the color of the hair, you need some pigment. So that pigment will not be there. Moreover, the chances of our skin to get sunburn problems will increase because now you do not have anything which can protect you from sunburns. Right? So that ways having no melanin is not a good thing, and when you do not have melanin or you have very diminished melanin, that disorder is called as albinism. So this is an inherited disorder which gets passed on from one generation to the other, and people suffering from albinism are often termed as albino. So most of the albinos have eyesight issues and sunburn problems. So these are the two primary problems that they face. Now, the type of albinism, again, now why do you have a deficiency of melanin in the body? So the deficiency of melanin is basically due to the deficiency of an enzyme called tyrosinase. So this tyrosinase enzyme is responsible for the production of melanin inside the body. So if tyrosinase itself is not there, so obviously there will be no melanin which will get produced inside your body. Now, albinism also exists in different types. So basically, when you talk about the symptoms of albinism, white skin, white silky hair, bluish or pinkish iris. Because in the iris also you do not have the melanin pigment. So bluish or pinkish iris, because of which it becomes very difficult in seeing things properly. Now albinism is not only a disease which is seen in human beings, it is also seen in plants. For example, here on the picture you see, this is a corn plant which is albino. So you see the color of the plant is not there, it's just pale white. So these are some examples of albino. Now, albinism can be of two different types. Now, the type of albinism depends on what is there in the DNA of a particular person. So, it could be a localized albinism where only eyes of the affected individuals lack melanin. So, there is melanin in all other parts of the body, but eyes lack melanin. So, in this case, the problem is only localized to eyes. So all other body parts is fine, your hair is fine, your skin is fine, but only problem is with the eye. That is why it is also termed as ocular albinism. Ocular term is something related to eye. And since it is localized to one particular part of our body, that is why it is called localized albinism. The other type of albinism is generalized albinism. So it is not localized to one part of our body. So it is like it affects the entire skin of our body, hair, eyes, all the places. So eyes, hair and skin of affected individuals lack melanin. This is also called oculocutaneous albinism. Oculo means something related to eye, cutaneous. So cutaneous is something related to the skin. So eyes, skin as well as hair, all of these impacted, that is OCA. It is written as OCA in short, oculocutaneous albinism. So these are the two types of albinism. So what we will do is we will discuss about both of these types of albinism and see how it gets inherited from one generation to the next. So let us first talk about the genetics of generalized albinism or OCA. So generalized albinism is an autosomal recessive inheritance. So what is the meaning of autosomal recessive inheritance? So it is that pattern of inheritance which is dependent only on the autosomes and not on the sex chromosomes. So let me quickly remind you that how many chromosomes do we have in our body? We have a total of 46 chromosomes. And out of these 46 chromosomes, 44 are autosomes and the remaining 2 are sex chromosomes. So these are the autosomes and the remaining 2 are the sex chromosomes. So when we talk about an autosomal recessive inheritance, that means in this type of inheritance, the gene or the defective gene gets passed on from one generation to the next through the autosomes. So the sex chromosomes do not have a role to play in this type of inheritance. Therefore, while we talk about the inheritance of this type of a disease like generalized albinism, the sex of the person doesn't matter, whether it is getting passed on from a male to female, or if a female has this disease, only the females would have this disease. So there is no such correlation with respect to the gender because the sex chromosomes are not at all involved. So the transfer of this defective gene happens only through the autosome. So that is why it is autosomal. And why is it recessive inheritance? Because in this case, a person will suffer from this disease only if both copies of the defective gene is present. That means, so why does this disease happen? Because when a gene gets misprinted or there is some kind of defect in that gene, maybe due to misprinting or miscopying. So when you have that particular gene misprinted and both the misprinted copies are present in one individual, only then an individual will have this disease. So for example, let us say that this OCA gene, let's say that the normal gene is represented by a capital R and a misprinted or defective gene is represented by small r. So if an individual, so these are the two alleles or these are the two versions of this OCA gene. Okay. Now if an individual has capital R, that means he has both the normal gene, so he is definitely not affected. If an individual has capital R, small r, that means he has one copy of or he has one allele for the normal gene and he has one allele for the defective gene. But in this case also, even though he is a carrier, but he will not suffer from the disease because this is a recessive disorder or it follows recessive inheritance. Only if an individual, so here also the person will be healthy. But if a person has small r, that means if he has both copies of the OCA gene misprinted, in that case, this person will suffer from the disorder. So he will not be healthy and he will be an albino. So this is how the inheritance happens. So let us look at this example. So let us say that you have an unaffected carrier father, unaffected carrier mother. That is capital R, small r, capital R, small r. So none of them are affected by the disease, but they are carrier of a misprinted OCA gene or they are carrier of a defective gene in simple words. So what are the possibilities of the children? So one children would be normal. 2 out of 4 children would be carrier, but they will again not be unaffected. But 1 out of 4 children will have a possibility of getting the disease. So that means there is a 25% of chance that a child might have the disease albinism if both the parents are carrier of the disease. Whereas if you have a scenario where the father is an albino, so father is already affected. That means father is small r, mother is not affected, but mother is a carrier. So in this case, the possibility in the next generation increases because in this case, 50% of the children will be albino and 50% of the remaining children will be a carrier of the disease. So the possibility of albinism in the next generation increased in this case.
Thank you. Please visit examfear.com for free quality education. You can learn with a simple 4-step learning process wherein you can watch video lessons, you can ask your questions, you can refer notes, and you can take a free online test. We have content for class 6 to 12 on physics, chemistry, mathematics, and biology along with practical videos. So please subscribe to our channel for daily updates. Thank you.